I want to bring in now to the conversation Michael Tyler, the communications director for the Biden-Harris 2024 campaign. Michael, it's great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. I guess congratulations are first in order for this first victory. And I want to start with the mood within the campaign tonight, how you are interpreting tonight's victory in South Carolina.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Certainly a good night for Joe Biden and for Democrats across the country because Joe Biden is once again a winner because he has kept his promises to the backbone of the Democratic Party. That's black voters. You're talking about the data tonight. We were looking at the early vote data earlier today, and about 76% of voters were black. That's compared to 56% in 2020. And so folks are turning out because they understand that they have a president in Joe Biden who's kept his promises, and they understand increasingly, to your point earlier, that we have cemented the choice in this election between Joe Biden, who's been delivering, and between Donald Trump, who presents a fundamental threat to American freedom and American democracy. So we're excited about the road ahead, and we're sort of we're full steam ahead for the general election right now.
Let me, if I can, drill down on the issue of turnout for a moment, just get a sense of how you read turnout or how you want your campaign and the general Democratic Party to read the turnout. Because as my colleague Steve Kornacki was pointing out, it's hard to gauge. We haven't been in a situation like this before. Previous ones, there were no primaries when an incumbent was running. He's expecting the turnout to be anywhere around 37%, which would be slightly less than it was in a very competitive primary back in 2020. How do you read the vote turnout tonight between enthusiasm for the Biden campaign and his reelection versus not?
Well, yeah, I'd start by comparing this to the first Republican contest in Iowa. You had about 110,000 folks turn out for the Iowa caucuses, an incredibly competitive election with multiple candidates. Here in South Carolina tonight, you'll have around 100,000 people turn out for the president because they appreciate everything that he has done over the course of his first term. And they're excited about the future, and they're geared up and understand the sense of urgency for the general election ahead. I think if you want to look at other metrics for enthusiasm, you can look at our grassroots fundraising. We had our best grassroots fundraising month in January. Our Q4 numbers are fantastic. We had $97 million. That's largely through grassroots donations. It's 97% were people who are giving $200 or less. People like teachers and nurses who are chipping in $5 and $10 at a time at JoeBiden.com because they understand, what this president has done. 14 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, capping the cost of insulin at $35. And they also understand that we have a threat in Donald Trump, who every single day is bragging about his role in overturning Roe v. Wade, who's rooting for the economy to crash, who's pledging to serve as a dictator on day one. So people understand the stakes, and they understand that we have a fighter in Joe Biden who's going to continue to deliver for them over the course of the next 4 years if we win.
I want to ask you about the threat that Donald Trump poses and certainly that messaging going forward. But let me ask you, as you also mentioned right now, and as in the campaign statement that came out about the importance of black voters, this was widely seen, this primary contest was widely seen as a test for Biden's strength among a critical voting bloc. My colleague Gabe Gutierrez spoke to a young black voter from South Carolina. Take a listen to this.
Do you think that there is enough enthusiasm among young black voters such as yourself?
No, sir. Like, just in all honesty, I think in 2020, it was a very emotional time. A lot of people were supporting, well, not supporting, but the Black Lives Matter movement had received great emphasis following the events that happened with Mr. George Floyd. And a lot of emphasis was pushed to vote just as people, and a lot of entertainment outlets because everybody was at home. So voting.
Do you think a lot of people your age will stay home this election?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is one vote. Obviously, that is one person. It's anecdotal, but I wanted to give you a chance to respond to that. How does the campaign plan to reach a voter like that who doesn't feel as motivated to head to the polls?
Yeah, this campaign knows we can't take any single voter for granted, particularly black voters who have been key to the Biden-Harris coalition and key to Democratic victories for years. And we're going to remind people of exactly what this administration has done on behalf of black communities across the country. Again, record low black unemployment under this administration, black wealth growing by 60% since before the pandemic, $7 billion into HBCUs. And we're going to communicate the contrast, right? We're going to talk about Donald Trump, who, when he was in Republican president, we saw the damage he caused to Black America. The only things that went up under Donald Trump's presidency for Black folks was the unemployment rate and the uninsured rate. His tax cut, for example, gave double the benefit to the typical white household and the typical Black household. He fumbled the bag on the COVID response, leaving Black people disproportionately dead and leaving Black businesses disproportionately shuttered. So we're going to communicate what our vision is, what our accomplishments are, and we're going to contrast that against the damage that Donald Trump has caused when he had power and the damage that he will cause if he's able to regain power.
How do we, right now and certainly after tonight, how do we look at whether the campaign is shifting its attention to the general election, or has that focus already shifted to that inevitable rematch with Donald Trump?
Yeah, we are absolutely focused on the general election against Donald Trump. He's marching towards the Republican nomination. We are focused on building an apparatus that can take him on and get to 270 electoral votes. That's absolutely what we're focused on at this stage in the race.
What does that apparatus look like? What does that messaging look like in order to defeat Donald Trump again?
Yeah, it looks like scaling up our operation in all of the battleground states, making sure that we are fully funded with staffing on the ground. It's our paid advertising efforts. It's our digital organizing efforts. It's a 360-degree effort to communicate with the voters who are going to decide this election. So certainly more to come, and so stay tuned.
And let me ask you finally before I let you go, because you mentioned the battleground states. Obviously, a lot of concern about the state of Michigan because of the protests that were taking place there over Thursday. Are you at all concerned about states like Michigan and Arab American voters, Muslim American voters, with the president's handling of the war in Gaza?
Yeah, we're certainly concerned about every state. We're concerned about Michigan as well. We are reminding folks, A, that the president is approaching the conflict as the commander-in-chief, not through the lens of politics, and that is going to continue to engage with the community from now through November and through the next 4 years when he is reelected. People elected Joe Biden because he has the empathy, the decency, and the seriousness of purpose to serve as commander-in-chief and to serve as president, and we believe that that stands in stark contrast to people like Donald Trump, who's running a campaign of revenge, of retribution, of harm, because he cares about himself and certainly has no business stepping back into the Oval Office. So we will engage with the community, and we will continue to present our vision and contrast that with our opponent in Donald Trump.
All right, Michael Tyler, Director of Communications for the Biden-Harris 2024 campaign. Sir, thank you so much for your time. Again, congratulations on the win this evening. Greatly appreciate your time, sir.